Wiggs was playing great. We were rolling. We're up 18, 19, whatever it was. And so we just stayed with him. And
he helped me realize that I do have negative energy, how that affects a team in a poor manner.
Obviously, we couldn't close it out.
The Golden State Warriors' nightmare just continues to get worse. From Draymond Green's 2 altercations that resulted in a suspension, to Klay Thompson quite literally admitting that he's washed, which is truly a sad sight to see, to Andrew Wiggins being a shell of his former self, and now the young generation of the Golden State Warriors, their youngest players, are declaring war on the front office and Steve Kerr. And the worst part of all is they're right. They have a right to be upset. So before we get to the content, make sure you drop like, subscribe, and turn on our notifications to help the channel grow. We're on the grind to 900,000 subscribers, and now that we get all that out of the way, cue the intro. We made $1,100 off of a $20 entry on Prize Picks. And it wasn't just me, it was everyone that followed these picks on my Instagram story. And the best feeling is the amount of people that made money as a result of this. I mean, bam, 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 bam! My DMs were flooded, so the best part for me was seeing you guys make money as well. But we're not done yet. If you haven't signed up for Prize Picks, use my promo code microphone to double your deposit up until $100 on Prize Picks. And I give away my picks on a daily basis for free on my Instagram story and now my Snapchat story. We're having so much fun doing this. I'm so happy that I made you guys some money. And thank you, Prize Picks, for the sponsor. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? We all remember the infamous incident from last year. Draymond Green punched the living talent out of Jordan Poole. He was never the same after that punch. And this became a bit of a troublesome storyline for the Golden State Warriors. Throughout the year, he noticed that Jordan Poole was a shell of his former self. On top of that, Draymond Green's potential expiring contract was looming, and he was threatening to leave the Golden State Warriors. Things were so tense that Bob Myers even admits that the fact that the Golden State Warriors' original core may break up was the reason why he stepped down from his position.
What is the path forward for Klay Thompson and Golden State?
Well, this is why I left, first of all. Look, a lot of times people will say it's just business, but this is not a just business situation. This guy, there's going to be a statue of this player outside of Chase Center. He was instrumental in bringing 4 championships. He's beloved inside the organization, the fan base. So it's not so simple as it's money and years. This is why it was hard for me. Like, you get relationships with these people, especially if you've succeeded with them. And that core has been together for 12 years. And that's just so rare now. That just doesn't happen. And so this is a delicate negotiation. From what I know and see, he wants to stay. They want him to stay. Doesn't mean it'll happen. But it is a test. It's certainly a test.
But Mike Dunleavy would step in, made a commitment to the young players of the Golden State Warriors, and said that they planned on keeping Jordan Poole.
Especially with his contract extension, plan to have him here for 4 more years at least.
And then traded Jordan Poole for Chris Paul a few days later. People applauded the move. It made a lot of sense. Chris Paul could lead the bench, and the Golden State Warriors' second unit could potentially be very dangerous. What we didn't anticipate was the other things that were going to cause problems for the Golden State Warriors. Who would have thought that now that Draymond Green didn't have a teammate to punch, he would start seeking out other players in the NBA to attack. First would be Rudy Gobert, which would result in a suspension, and then very shortly after that suspension, he would punch Yusuf Nurkic, which resulted in an indefinite suspension. That's not the only problem. Klay Thompson has had a lot of trouble coming to grips with the fact that he's no longer a superstar talent. And it's been really sad to see. About a month ago, he accused a reporter of suggesting that he was trying to bench him.
What do you want me to bench me?
No. It's like, that's...
Bench Wiggs?
I don't think I said that.
Okay. I mean, you can suggest it, it's fine. But, I mean, thanks, Steve, I guess. Like, I don't know, sometimes you earn these things like patience and time to find yourself. And I think history will is on our side when it comes to that stuff.
And while there was hope that Klay Thompson could regain some sort of form, this latest interview right before the Golden State Warriors faced off against the Denver Nuggets was just so sad to see.
Sometimes I forget just how successful and how lucky I've been to be a part of championship teams and all-star games and gold medals. When you want to get back to that level so badly, you can kind of get in your own way. And rather than forcing it, we had a conversation about just enjoying this last chapter of my career and how lucky I truly am to still be playing this game and doing it at a high level and being a better mentor for the young guys, leading by example, and having my energy right every game. And he helped me realize I do have negative energy, how that affects the team in a poor manner.
I mean, it's Klay Thompson quite literally coming to grips with the fact that he's no longer an all-star caliber talent. It's very difficult to realize that you're washed when you're only 33 years old in the NBA. And in Klay Thompson's defense, the fact that he was productive enough to help the Warriors win their latest championship after coming off of a torn Achilles and a torn ACL is nothing short of spectacular. Factor that with the fact that Klay Thompson's contract is expiring this season, then you can understand why he's feeling so much pressure. So the Warriors have had a lot of trouble this season. They're currently the 11th seed in the Western Conference. They're struggling to find a secondary scorer next to Klay Thompson. If Jordan Poole stayed back for another year and maybe they chose Jordan Poole over Draymond Green, then maybe Jordan Poole could have been that complimentary scorer. Maybe if Draymond Green didn't punch the talent out of Jordan Poole, he could have been that complimentary scorer. But you see, the Warriors' problems extend further than the fact that Klay Thompson is cooked, Draymond Green is punching people for no reason, and they can't find a secondary scorer for Steph Curry, and the fact that Andrew Wiggins is cooked. No. Now the youth of the Golden State Warriors are very angry at Steve Kerr. You might be wondering why that is. On Thursday night, we saw some absolutely riveting basketball between the defending champion Denver Nuggets and the team that won the NBA championship the year prior. Although both of these teams are in completely different situations, one can really make a note of how different these two teams are. Golden State Warriors built a dynasty based upon their speed and their proficiency from beyond the arc, which, by the way, is a wonderful thing. The Golden State Warriors dynasty revolutionized the way NBA basketball is played. The problem is, clearly, they're not the same team anymore. It's been almost 10 years since the Golden State Warriors won their first championship, and I don't agree with the way that they're trying to extend their championship window, at least not anymore. If you take a look at the way the Denver Nuggets won an NBA championship, they have a superstar in Nikola Jokic, a very unique superstar at that. They built their offense around Nikola Jokic, and they consistently are trying to invest in younger players. Of course, there's Jamal Murray, and there's Aaron Gordon, and there's Michael Porter Jr. But last year, for instance, they invested in Christian Braun's development. This year, they're investing in Peyton Watson's development. They're consistently trying to develop their young players. I mean, the Golden State Warriors had the number 2 pick in the 2020 NBA draft, and they botched that. 1 year later, they had 2 first-round picks in the top 15 of the NBA draft, and luckily for them, they hit on Jonathan Kuminga. I can't really tell you about Moses Moody because he just started playing him a little bit more. And the case of Jonathan Kuminga is incredibly peculiar, so much so that he's officially declared war on the Golden State Warriors. He, quote-unquote, lost faith in Steve Kerr. A wild thing to say about an individual that has won an NBA championship as teammates of Tim Duncan and Michael Jordan, who has won an NBA championship playing for Phil Jackson, and who has won multiple NBA championships as the head coach of the Golden State Warriors. Something that you would never imagine before. So is Jonathan Kuminga out of line? Well, you tell me, because I think there's a problem with the Golden State Warriors philosophy. The Warriors faced off against the Denver Nuggets on Thursday night in an absolutely riveting game of basketball where the Golden State Warriors were up by 18 points at a particular point. A point that featured Jonathan Kuminga playing regular minutes. Kuminga went 5 of 7 from the field for 16 points, 4 assists, and 4 rebounds in 19 minutes. And you might be thinking, well, Mike, those are just statistics. Well, if you take a look at the way Kuminga was playing when he was in, he was very physical and imposing. Most of his points came from inside the paint, and his final play on offense was a 3-point play when Jamal Murray was guarding him. Clearly, the player that the Warriors needed to play meaningful minutes if they wanted to continue to push and win. But that would be his final offensive possession. Jonathan Kuminga wouldn't play a single minute following this foul and one. It's obscene! The man literally had a foul and one to put the Warriors up. The Warriors had all the momentum in the world, and then Steve Kerr said,
Yeah, I think I'm gonna put in Andrew Wiggins. Yeah, we pay him a lot of money, and I think he's older than Jonathan Kuminga, so we're gonna go with Wiggins.
so when would Jonathan Kuminga return?
Never! He would not return to the game at all!
And how would the game end? Well, the Golden State Warriors would go out like this.
Gotta put one up, Jokic for the win! Oh! It's good!
Now, I'm not done. It gets so much better because reporters were all wondering,
Wow, Jonathan Kuminga really had a great game. Why would Steve Kerr not play him anymore? Something's not adding up here.
well, this is Steve Kerr's reason for not playing Jonathan Kuminga.
Yeah, he was playing great, and you know, his normal time to go back in would have been around the 5-6 minute mark. And Wiggs was playing great, and we were rolling. We're up 18, 19, whatever it was. And so we just stayed with him. And then at that point, it didn't feel, like it was the right thing to do. He'd been sitting for a while. So I stayed with the group that was out there. And obviously, we couldn't close it out.
Steve Kerr has no legitimate reason at all, as you guys could see. And the crazy part is Kevin O'Connor really pointed this out in an article that he wrote up called "The Golden State Warriors Are Falling Apart." There's this one particular play that just shows you the difference between the Nuggets and the Warriors. The 5 that are in for the Golden State Warriors to finish off the game is Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Chris Paul, Trayce Jackson-Davis, and Dario Saric. Why that starting 5 is in when you're up by 7 points with 2 minutes left to go in the game is beyond me. But take a look. The Denver Nuggets run a double screen for Jamal Murray, and the Golden State Warriors are absolutely lost during this double screen. If you freeze frame it up until this point, when Jamal Murray finally penetrates, you can see how chaotic this is for the Golden State Warriors. I mean, you have Chris Paul in the paint, you have Trayce Jackson-Davis that is helping out, which means you have KCP, Aaron Gordon, and Peyton Watson open for 3. What ends up happening? Well, Jamal Murray kicks it out to Peyton Watson, who cuts down the lead to 4. Peyton Watson probably has the most confidence taking this corner 3. Why?
Because Chris Paul is 6 feet tall and he's 39 years old!
He's not worried about Chris Paul closing in on him, bro! And the crazy part about this, something that's symbolic, something that they would teach you in some sort of Shakespearean English class in any college or liberal arts institute, is as a result of this difference in philosophy, one of the Golden State Warriors' brightest young stars has declared war again. Yeah, last year it was Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole at least got paid. In this particular case, Jonathan Kuminga really believes that the Golden State Warriors are ruining his career. The title of this article, which comes from Shams Charania and Anthony Slater, 2 incredibly credible sources, incredibly credible. The title is "The Warriors' Jonathan Kuminga Has Lost Faith in Coach Steve Kerr, According to Sources." I don't blame him, man. Look at how this article opens up. After sitting in the final 18 minutes of Thursday night's loss to the Denver Nuggets, Golden State Warriors forward Jonathan Kuminga has lost faith in head coach Steve Kerr, and the 2021 lottery pick no longer believes Kerr will allow him to reach his full potential. Sources close to Kuminga tell The Athletic, adding another layer of turbulence to an already complex Warriors season. If you told me in 2017 or 18 or 19 that this would be a problem, that players believe that Steve Kerr will not allow them to reach their fullest potential, I would say you're insane! But it makes a lot of sense. According to this article, Thursday night was the straw that broke the camel's back. And I can't really blame him again, because Kuminga had another strong performance on Thursday night with 16 points on 5 of 7 shooting, 4 rebounds, 4 assists with a team high +6 in just 19 minutes of action. He converted an and-one finish with 6 minutes left in the third quarter, and then Steve Kerr substituted him out of the game 12 seconds later, along with Klay Thompson and Kevon Looney. But you see, the difference between Jonathan Kuminga And Klay Thompson is, oh my god, it's Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson, the player that is stamping his feet, demanding a max contract despite playing like dog shit. It's Klay Thompson. We gotta bring him in. Even though he's admitting openly that he's washed and he's no longer the player that he once was. Even though it looks like he's really struggling in each and every press conference. More spotlight on Klay Thompson as opposed to our promising young player, Jonathan Kuminga. Now, why is this even a problem to begin with? Well, Shams and Anthony Slater state that the Warriors have problems playing Kuminga and Wiggins together. They're a cumulative minus 66. Kuminga replaced Wiggins in the starting lineup 11 games ago, but Wiggins' steady involvement in the rotation has still led to some lower than expected minute nights for Kuminga, even while performing well. Their numbers are not good together, frankly, Kerr said last month. They're very redundant. So the tape and the numbers haven't been great, but we recognize too that we have a level that we need to get to really compete at the highest level, and if those two guys can coexist on the floor, it does give us an elevated athleticism and elevated potential, but we have to find the right combination of people around those two. And I will go out to bat for Steve Kerr, because there's one thing that Andrew Wiggins historically has had over Jonathan Kuminga, and that's that Andrew Wiggins has been, at least up until this year, a consistent three-point shooter. But you need to understand, this year, Andrew Wiggins' three-point scoring completely disappeared. I mean, we're talking about Space Jam levels of basketball taking basketball players' talent away levels of bad. To give you an idea, since arriving in Golden State, Andrew Wiggins has consistently shot 38 to 39% from three. Last year, even shooting 40% from three, if you round it up. This year, he's shooting 30% from three, a really steep decline, but that's still better than what Jonathan Kuminga has been shooting from three this year, who shoots 28% from three this year, but last year he was shooting 37% from three, although he averages about 2 threes per game. So I'm assuming that's the reason he's not playing them together. Another theory I have is the reason why Steve Kerr is favoring Andrew Wiggins at all whatsoever is when we made our video on the OG Anunoby trade, we brought up how the Golden State Warriors were listening to calls for Andrew Wiggins. Now, Andrew Wiggins being traded last year would have worked wonders. This year, not as much. If you remember, the Warriors could be open to trading Andrew Wiggins. Though I've said in the past that the Warriors might be reluctant to trade Wiggins, I've since heard that this would not be a major barrier for the Warriors to explore Wiggins' current trade market, especially if he can't play with Kuminga and the Warriors decide that Kuminga is their full-time small forward. Now, this problem kind of goes back to last year. If you remember last year, Andrew Wiggins left the team for 2 months, and Jonathan Kuminga became a very big part of the Golden State Warriors as a result of it. And the crazy thing is, the moment that Andrew Wiggins returned, Jonathan Kuminga disappeared from the rotation. Now, this isn't the case anymore. Both players are available. Kuminga has worked his way into a larger part of the picture. He has still played in every game in which he's been active this season, but he still finds himself watching from the sideline during some of the team's pivotal moments. That included Christmas when he was benched for the final 3 minutes of a loss in Denver and voiced some confusion to Marcus Thompson post-game, saying, "Sometimes I come out of the game not knowing what I did wrong, and that messes with my head. It's like, what do they want me to do? I can pass and I can do different shit." Now, an erosion of trust from player to coach is apparent, a decaying partnership for two men in Kuminga and Kerr, whom Golden State needs to coexist for the future. The crazy part is, every single time the Warriors play Jonathan Kuminga, they're rewarded. He's in the midst of his best season to date. He's averaging 12.8 points per game, grabs 4 rebounds per game, and bear in mind, this is in 22 minutes played. The ironic part is, it seems like the additional first-round pick that the Golden State Warriors selected in that same draft, Moses Moody, is also pissed off. According to Jason Dumas, who has been historically extremely credible, Moses Moody's camp is frustrated with his role in Golden State. The people around Moses are frustrated with the lack of a role and consistency. When Moses Moody was drafted, he was supposed to be this incredible shooter from beyond the arc, but historically, he hasn't really gotten a lot of playing time. This year, his minutes went up from 13 to 18, and his points per game averages nearly doubled. Last year, he shot 36% from three. So the three-point scoring potential is there, and whenever he's on the court, his offensive box plus minus, which is a box score estimate of the offensive points per 100 possessions that a player contributed above a league average player, translated to an average team, and his defensive box plus minus, which is the same exact thing but for defense, have been positives. 0.2 OBPM, 0.1 DBPM, BPM, his VORP, which is a box score estimate of the points per 100 team possessions that a player contributed above a replacement level player, is positive for the first time in his career. So I'd be mad if I was Moses Moody as well. So at the end of the day, the Golden State Warriors' problems are consistently getting worse. It seems like they have the same problem once again, which is they don't know how to handle their abundance of youth. Last year they botched it. They gave up on James Wiseman, traded him in the middle of the season to bring back Gary Payton. They gave up on Jordan Poole, traded him in the offseason to appease Draymond Green. Now I wonder what they're going to do this season, because at the end of the day, we have to remember Bob Myers stepped down for a reason. And there's a good chance that the reason that he stepped down was because he was either going to have to choose between the future and the past. So Mike Dunleavy Jr. has his hands full. Let me know in the comment section down below, how did the Golden State Warriors fix this? Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.